Sam Miller wiped sweat from his forehead as he checked the soil moisture levels in Greenhouse 3. The red sun of Proxima Centauri cast an eerie glow through the transparent dome above. 6 months into his 3-year assignment at Outpost Horizon, Sam had grown used to the solitude. As the station's lead agricultural scientist, his job was to develop crops that could thrive in alien environments, potentially feeding future human colonies. Humidity at optimal levels, Sam muttered to himself, making a note on his tablet. The modified corn seedlings are showing 10% better growth than Earth baseline. A soft thud from behind the hydroponic tanks made him freeze. Sam turned, slowly, his pulse quickening. The station's security system hadn't reported any breaches, and his 5 human colleagues were all in the main habitat dome half a kilometer away. "Hello?" Sam called out, grabbing a soil sampler as an improvised weapon. "Is someone there?" Silence answered him. Then he heard it again, a scraping sound, like something being dragged across the floor. Sam edged forward between rows of leafy experimental vegetables. The lighting in this section was dimmer to simulate dusk for the plants that required varied light cycles. As he rounded the corner of the hydroponic tank, Sam gasped and stumbled backward. Huddled together behind his prized tomato specimens were 2 beings, definitely not human. Their skin shimmered with a faint bluish tint that seemed to pulse slightly, and they were impossibly thin, almost skeletal. Large almond-shaped eyes dominated their narrow faces, and where human ears would be, they had what looked like small, delicate fins. One of the creatures made a soft chirping sound, and both shrank back against the wall. Their movements were weak, uncoordinated. Sam realized with a shock that they weren't threatening. They were terrified. "Hey," Sam said softly, setting down his makeshift weapon and raising his empty hands. "I'm not going to hurt you." The slightly taller of the 2 aliens made another noise, this time a series of clicks and whistles. The universal translator pinned to Sam's jumpsuit remained silent. These weren't any of the 3 alien languages humans had encountered since achieving interstellar travel 20 years ago. The smaller alien suddenly clutched at its midsection and let out a low moan. It was then Sam noticed how sunken their abdomens were, how their limbs trembled with the effort of even sitting upright. They were starving. Sam backed away slowly. "Stay here," he said, making eating motions with his hand. "Food. I'll get you food." At the mention of food, both aliens became more alert, their large eyes tracking his every movement with desperate intensity. Sam hurried to the storage area, mind racing. His first duty was to report the unauthorized presence of unknown aliens to Earth Command. Protocol was clear on this. No direct contact, immediate quarantine procedures, and wait for instructions. Yet these beings were clearly in distress. By the time Earth Command responded, at minimum 10 hours with the current communications delay, they might be dead. Sam grabbed a container of synthesized protein bars designed to meet basic nutritional needs of carbon-based life forms. He also collected some fresh vegetables and fruits from his personal greenhouse section, items that had already been cleared as safe for human consumption. When he returned, the aliens hadn't moved, though they seemed weaker than before. The taller one had an arm around the smaller, supporting it as it slumped against the wall. Sam knelt a few meters away and slowly opened the container of protein bars. He took one himself, bit into it, and chewed, making exaggerated movements to show it was safe to eat. Then he pushed the container toward them along the floor. For a moment, neither alien moved. Then, with surprising speed given their weakened state, the taller one snatched the container and pulled out a bar. It sniffed it briefly before taking a small nibble. Its large eyes widened, and it quickly took another bite before breaking off, a piece for its companion. Sam watched as they devoured the protein bars, their movements becoming more coordinated with each bite. When he offered the fresh vegetables, they inspected each item carefully, before consuming them with the same desperate hunger. As their immediate starvation eased, Sam noticed subtle changes in their appearance. The blue tint of their skin brightened, slightly, and their fin-like ears twitched occasionally. The smaller one made a trilling sound that somehow conveyed gratitude without words. "You're welcome," Sam said, smiling despite his uncertainty about the whole situation. I'm Sam, he added, pointing to himself. The taller alien placed a slender hand with 6 long fingers on its chest. El-Ara, it said, the sounds halting, but distinct. The smaller one followed suit. Nisa, it managed, its voice higher-pitched. Sam grinned. Ilara and Nisa, is that right? Both aliens nodded, a surprisingly human gesture that made Sam wonder if they'd been observing humans for some time. Now that the immediate crisis had passed, Sam had decisions to make. Protocol dictated immediate reporting and isolation. But these beings weren't like the aggressive Drakons that humanity had encountered near the Tau Ceti system. Those reptilian aliens had fired on human ships without provocation, leading to the current Cold War between the species. These aliens, Ilara and Nissa, seemed different, vulnerable. Refugees, perhaps. Sam activated his communicator but hesitated before connecting to the main station. Instead, he took pictures of the aliens with his tablet and initiated a search through the xenobiology database. No matches came up for their species. Where did you come from? Sam asked, knowing they couldn't understand him yet. He pointed upward, trying to indicate space. Ilara seemed to understand. She raised a hand and made a sweeping gesture across the sky, then a sharp downward motion followed by what looked like an explosion pantomime. Your ship crashed? Sam guessed. Both aliens nodded vigorously, and Ilara made another series of gestures that suggested pursuit, hiding, and fear. Sam had a sinking feeling in his stomach. Were you running from something? Or someone? Their reactions confirmed his suspicion. Ilara's fins flattened against her head, and Nisa let out a low sound that needed no translation, a whimper of fear. Sam came to a decision. He would help these beings, at least until he could establish better communication and understand their situation. He could use the station's rudimentary translation software to begin building a language bridge. Come with me, he said, gesturing toward the door that led to his private lab. We need to keep you hidden for now. As they struggled to stand, Sam moved to help them. When his hand touched Ilara's arm, she froze, staring at him with an expression of what seemed like awe. Nisa made a soft sound of surprise. Sam pulled back, worried he'd violated some cultural taboo, but Ilara reached out and gently took his hand in hers. She placed it over her heart in what was clearly a gesture of profound significance, then did the same with Nissa. Sam didn't understand the meaning, but he felt the weight of the moment. Something important had just happened. Something beyond the simple act of feeding 2 starving alien girls. What Sam couldn't know was that in Lyrian culture, to share food with a stranger in their time of greatest need was to form a bond considered sacred and unbreakable, and the consequences of this bond would soon shock him and change the fate of humanity forever. 3 days passed since Sam brought Ilara and Nisa to his private lab. He converted the storage room into a living space with makeshift beds, and he kept their presence secret from the other 5 crew members. Sam knew he was breaking at least a dozen regulations, but every time he thought about reporting them, he remembered their terrified expressions when they made those explosion gestures. Sam worked tirelessly with the station's translation software, recording the aliens' speech patterns and teaching them basic English words. Progress came surprisingly fast. By the 3rd day, they could understand simple sentences and respond with broken phrases. You help us, Ilara said that morning, her large eyes fixed on Sam with an intensity that made him uncomfortable. Big thank. You're welcome, Sam replied, showing them how to use the water dispenser again. But I need to understand where you came from and why you're here. Nisa, the smaller of the 2, had recovered much of her strength. The hollows in her cheeks had filled out, and her blue-tinted skin now glowed with subtle patterns that shifted with her moods. Bad ones. Chase us, Nisa said, making a shape with her hands that Sam had come to recognize meant the Drakons, reptilian, aliens who had been hostile to humans since first contact. Drakons attacked your ship? Sam asked. Both aliens nodded vigorously. Our people. Scattered, Ilara added. We... escape pod. Crash here. Sam frowned. If Drakons had chased them to this planet, They might still be looking. That could explain the increased Dracon activity the station had detected in this system over the past week. A chime from Sam's tablet interrupted them. It was a station-wide message from Commander Reyes. All personnel report to the main dome for emergency briefing at 1400 hours. New Draken movements detected. Sam's stomach tightened with worry. I have to go to a meeting, he told the aliens. Stay here. Stay quiet. I'll bring more food when I return. Both aliens nodded, but as Sam turned to leave, Alara touched his arm. Sam, give food. Sam, give shelter. She placed her six-fingered hand over her heart in that same ceremonial gesture from their first meeting. We give back. You don't need to give me anything, Sam said with a smile. Just stay hidden and stay safe. As the lab door closed behind him, Sam missed the determined look the two aliens exchanged. At the meeting, Commander Reyes displayed a holographic map of the star system. 2 Dracon scout ships entered orbit yesterday, she explained, pointing to red markers. They've been scanning the surface with unusual intensity. Do they know we're here? Asked Dr. Keller, the station's medical officer. Our shielding should mask most of our signatures, replied Reyes, but they're particularly focused on this region. She zoomed in on the map, highlighting an area only 20 kilometers from the research station, exactly where Sam had found impact marks that might have been from a small spacecraft. Could they be looking for something? Asked Li Chen, the geologist. Sam kept his face carefully neutral, though his heart raced. The Dracons were hunting Alara and Nissa. Unknown, said Reyes. But until they leave, we're on full alert. Minimal outside activity, no unnecessary power usage. We can't risk detection. As the briefing ended, Sam hurried back to his lab, worry gnawing at him. He needed to warn the aliens about the Draken presence and figure out a better hiding place. When the lab door slid open, Sam stopped in shock. His previously cluttered space was immaculate. Equipment had been organized, samples neatly labeled, and the floors gleamed. In the center stood Alara and Nissa, their expressions hopeful. We help, said Alara simply. We clean. Thank you, but Sam lowered his voice. You shouldn't touch anything. Some of this equipment is delicate and… No break, Nissa assured him quickly. Careful, very careful. Sam noticed they had also created small objects from discarded materials. Decorative items placed around his workspace. One appeared to be a miniature model of the greenhouse where he'd found them, crafted with remarkable detail from scraps of plastic and metal. You made these? Sam asked, picking up the tiny greenhouse. Gifts, explained Alara. For Sam, for food giver. The translation software on Sam's tablet beeped with a new entry. It had matched a phrase Alara used in her native language with a concept, food giver, one who provides nourishment to the hungry, a sacred provider, highest form of protector in Lyrian culture. Sam set down the model, suddenly understanding their behavior wasn't merely gratitude. It was something deeper in their culture. Listen, he said seriously. The Dracons are in orbit. They're searching near where your pod crashed. Fear flashed across their faces, but it was quickly replaced with something else, determination. We protect Sam, said Nissa firmly. Sam, safe. No, you don't understand, Sam explained. There are 2 Dracon ships. If they find you here, they'll attack the station. Everyone will be in danger. Alara stepped forward, placing her hand on Sam's shoulder. Her English was improving by the hour. We understand. Food Giver protected us. Now we protect Food Giver. This is way. The translation software beeped again. This is way. Lyrian phrase indicating unbreakable cultural law, sacred obligation, purpose of existence. Sam rubbed his forehead, feeling the situation spiraling beyond his control. I need to understand more about your people. Why are the Dracons hunting you? The aliens exchanged glances before Nissa spoke. Dracons fear what we become. Become? What do you mean? Before they could answer, an alarm blared throughout the station. Sam's communicator activated with Commander Reyes's tense voice. Proximity alert. Draken shuttle descending through atmosphere, heading toward the station. All personnel implement Security Protocol Delta. Terror gripped Sam. Protocol Delta meant hiding all evidence of advanced research and preparing for possible hostile contact. The Drakons were coming here, directly to the station. "I need to go," Sam said urgently. "Stay here. Lock the door. Don't make any sound." But Ilara and Nissa moved with unexpected speed, blocking his path to the door. "We help," insisted Ilara. "Drakons come for us, not for humans." "You don't understand," Sam argued. "We have protocols, ways to handle this." "No," Nissa interrupted with surprising firmness. "You not understand. Bond is made, cannot break." Sam's tablet translated more Lyrian phrases. Bond, sacred connection formed through life-saving nourishment. Changes recipient physically and spiritually. Forms unbreakable loyalty. "What do you mean, changes?" Sam asked. But the station-wide alarm grew louder. Ilara took Sam's hands in hers. The blue patterns on her skin brightened dramatically, pulsing with energy. "We show you. Soon." Nissa touched Sam's forehead gently. "Trust us, food giver. As we trusted you." With that simple touch, Sam felt a strange calm wash over him despite the chaos erupting around them. Something profound was happening that he couldn't understand yet. But he sensed the aliens weren't just refugees. They were something much more significant. "Okay," Sam agreed finally. "But we do this carefully. No one can know you're here until I figure out how to explain you to my commander." Both aliens nodded in agreement, but their postures had changed. They stood straighter, moved with more precision. Even their eyes seemed different, more alert, more aware. Whatever changes they had mentioned seemed to be happening already. As Sam prepared to face the approaching Drakon threat, he couldn't shake the feeling that his simple act of compassion, feeding 2 starving alien girls, had set in motion events that would alter everything. The station shook as the Drakon shuttle landed just outside the main dome. Commander Reyes gathered the 6 human crew members in the central chamber. Sam glanced nervously at the corridor leading to his lab, hoping Ilara and Nissa would stay hidden. "They're demanding to search the station," Reyes explained, her face grim. "They claim they're tracking dangerous fugitives." "We should refuse," said Dr. Keller. "This is a scientific outpost with international protection." Reyes shook her head. "We don't have the defenses to stop them if they decide to force their way in. Our best option is to cooperate while revealing as little of our research as possible." The main airlock cycled open with a hiss. 4 Drakons entered, their scaled bodies covered in sleek armor. Their yellow eyes scanned the room, and forked tongues flicked out to taste the air. The lead Drakon, bearing red markings on his armor, stepped forward. "I am Commander Kraz," he said, voice rasping through his translator. "We track dangerous beings to this area. You will allow us to search your facility." Rhea stepped forward, keeping her hands visible. "This is a peaceful research station. We've seen no other beings on this planet." "You lie," Kraz hissed, his clawed hand moving to the weapon at his side. "Our sensors detected their crash site nearby. Their track leads here." Sam felt cold sweat on his forehead. The Drakons must have some way to detect Lyrian biology. The aliens would be discovered soon. "You may search," Reyes conceded. "But one of my people must accompany each of your soldiers." Kraz nodded curtly. "Acceptable. Begin now." Sam volunteered quickly. "I'll take the east section, including the greenhouses and labs." If he could reach Ilara and Nissa first, maybe he could hide them better, or create a distraction. Reyes gave him a curious look, but agreed. Sam was paired with a Drakon soldier who towered over him by nearly a foot, with deep green scales and black armor. "This way," Sam said, leading the Drakon away from the central dome. His mind raced. Could he somehow circle around and warn the aliens? The Drakon's heavy footsteps behind him made that impossible. The soldier was watching his every move. As they approached the corridor leading to Sam's lab, his heart hammered in his chest. Just a few more meters, and the Drakon would detect the aliens. Sam considered creating a distraction, perhaps claiming a containment breach in one of the other labs. Before he could act, a crash sounded from the far end of the corridor. The Draken's head snapped toward the noise and he pushed past Sam, weapon raised. "Stay behind me, human," the Draken ordered. They moved down the corridor, passing Sam's lab. The door was still sealed. Where had the noise come from? At the end of the corridor, they found a storage locker had fallen, its contents scattered across the floor. "Curious," the Draken said, examining the locker. This was deliberately pushed. A soft whisper from behind made Sam jump. Somehow, impossibly, Ilara stood directly behind him in the corridor. She placed a finger to her lips, then vanished around the corner before the Drakon turned back. Sam blinked in confusion. How had she moved without either of them noticing? "We will continue the search," the Drakon said, pushing Sam forward. They checked each room, but when they reached Sam's lab, the door wouldn't open. "System malfunction," Sam explained, trying to sound calm as he entered his code. The door remained locked. "Strange. This has never happened before." The Draken pushed him aside and attached a small device to the door panel. "I will override it." Sam felt panic rising. If the Drakon found the aliens, everyone at the station would be in danger. These soldiers wouldn't hesitate to kill humans protecting fugitives. The device beeped, and the door slid open. The Drakon entered first, weapon ready. Sam followed, expecting to see Ilara and Nissa huddled in the corner. The lab was empty. The makeshift beds were gone, and all signs of the aliens had vanished. Even the small gifts they had made for Sam were nowhere to be seen. The Drakon moved methodically through the lab, checking every cabinet and container. His tongue flicked out repeatedly, tasting the air. "Something was here," he said finally, turning to Sam with suspicious eyes. "I detect unusual traces. I work with plant samples from all over the region," Sam replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "Many have unique chemical signatures." The Draken leaned close, his yellow eyes unblinking. "If you hide what we seek, human, the consequences will be severe." A crackle came from the Drakon's communicator. It was Commander Kraz speaking in the harsh Drakon language. The soldier responded, then turned back to Sam. "We are called to the main dome. Come." When they returned, Sam was shocked to see Ilara and Nissa standing in the center of the room, surrounded by the other Drakons. His colleagues looked equally surprised. Commander Reyes shot him a look of confusion and anger. She thought he had hidden them all along. But something was different about the two aliens. They stood tall and confident, their blue skin now pulsing with complex patterns of light. Their eyes, once large and fearful, now gleamed with inner power. "These are who you seek," Reyes said to Kraz, her voice tight. "They approached us just now, saying they wished to surrender to protect our station." Kraz hissed with satisfaction. "Lyrians, as we suspected." He addressed the two aliens directly. "You will come with us. The Draken Empire has declared your kind enemies of the state." Ilara stepped forward, her movements fluid and graceful, nothing like the weak, starving creature Sam had found days ago. "We will not resist," she said in perfect English, surprising everyone. "But first we claim protection rights under the Galactic Concordat for our food giver." Kraz laughed, a harsh sound like stones grinding together. "What protection can you offer, Lyrian? You are outnumbered and outarmed." Nissa moved to stand beside her sister. "We have bonded with a human. The sacred covenant is formed." The Draken. Soldiers exchanged glances, suddenly uneasy. Kraz's laugh died in his throat. "Impossible. The bonding requires weeks of preparation." "For planned bondings, yes," Ilara agreed. "But emergency bondings triggered by survival needs manifest much faster. It is already done." Sam stepped forward, unable to stay silent any longer. "What are you talking about? What bonding?" Ilara turned. To him, her eyes softening. "The food you gave us when we were starving triggered our transformation. Among our people, such an act forms an unbreakable bond. We are now linked to you, Sam Miller, and through you, to humanity." "This changes nothing," Kraz snarled, raising his weapon. "You will come with us now, or we will take you by force." Nissa smiled, a gentle expression that somehow seemed terrifying on her transformed face. You may try. What happened next occurred so quickly that Sam could barely follow it. Ilara made a simple gesture with her hand, and all the Draken's weapons flew from their grasp, hovering in midair before disassembling into component parts that clattered to the floor. Commander Kraz lunged forward with a roar, but Nissa stepped into his path. She didn't touch him, yet he froze in place, unable to move. We do not wish to harm you, Ilara said calmly. Our people do not believe in violence, but we will protect our food giver and his people with all our abilities. The humans stared in shock. The frail refugees Sam had hidden were now displaying powers none of them had imagined possible. This is why the Drakens hunt your kind, Sam realized aloud. Because of these abilities. Yes, Nissa confirmed, still holding Kraz immobile without touching him. But our abilities only manifest fully when the bond is formed. Unbonded, we are vulnerable. The Drakens have been hunting us before we can bond with other species. Commander. Reyes found her voice at last. Miller, you have a lot of explaining to do. Sam nodded, unable to take his eyes off the transformed aliens. His simple act of kindness, feeding 2 starving girls, had changed everything. And somehow, he knew that the full extent of that change was only beginning to unfold. The main dome of Outpost Horizon had become an unlikely meeting ground for 3 species. The 4 Drakon soldiers stood against one wall, tense and alert, but making no moves toward their disassembled weapons. Commander Reyes and her 5 human colleagues huddled together near the main console, whispering urgently. In the center, Ilara and Nissa waited calmly, their blue skin pulsing with patterns of light. Sam stepped forward, trying to make sense of everything. You need to explain what's happening, he said to the Lyrians. What exactly is this bond you keep talking about? Ilara nodded. Our species evolved as travelers, moving from world to world. We have few natural defenses of our own. But we developed a special adaptation. When someone saves us from starvation, our bodies change. Like a symbiotic relationship, offered Dr. Keller, the station's medical officer. Her scientific curiosity was overcoming her fear. Yes, agreed Nissa. The bond rewires our biology. We gain enhanced abilities that allow us to protect those who protect us. It is our evolutionary advantage, Commander Kraz hissed from where he stood. It is unnatural. Your kind use this bond to infiltrate other societies. Ilara turned to the Draken leader. We only bond with those who show compassion without expecting reward. Your people tried to force bonds with captured Lyrians. That is why it failed. Sam's head was spinning. So when I fed you, you triggered our transformation, confirmed Ilara. It normally takes weeks, but our desperate state accelerated the process. And now you can do... What exactly? Asked Commander Reyes, speaking for the first time since the standoff began. Nissa smiled. We have limited telekinetic abilities, she explained, lifting a nearby tablet into the air without touching it. We can sense danger before it arrives. We can move with great speed when needed. And we share a mental connection with our food giver. Sam blinked in surprise. A mental connection? I haven't felt anything. You will, Ilara said. The bond is still strengthening. Commander Kraz stepped forward, causing everyone to tense, but he merely looked at the Lyrians with hatred. Your bond means nothing. A Draken battle fleet is already on its way to this system. They will destroy the station and everyone on it to prevent more bondings. Sam looked at Reyes in alarm. The commander nodded grimly. Our long-range sensors detected multiple ships entering the system an hour ago. We've sent a distress call to Earth Command, but the nearest human vessel is 3 days away. We must leave, insisted one of the other crew members. Use the emergency shuttle. The Drakens would shoot it down before we reached orbit, replied Reyes. Ilara and Nissa exchanged a look. There is another option, said Ilara. Let us communicate with the Draken fleet. Kraz laughed harshly. They will not negotiate with Lyrians. Not to negotiate, Nissa clarified. to inform them of the consequences of attacking this outpost. Sam looked at them in confusion. What consequences? There are only two of you. Ilara placed her hand on Sam's shoulder. The touch sent a strange warmth through his body, and for a brief moment he felt a flicker of something, like another consciousness brushing against his own. The bond we share is not just between us, Sam Miller, she explained. When Lyrians bond with a member of a species, the protection extends to their entire kind. It is how we form alliances. Commander Reyes stepped forward. Are you saying that, because Sam fed you, you now have some kind of protection pact with all humans? Not yet fully formed, said Nissa, but beginning, yes. The Drakons know this. It is why they hunt unbonded Lyrians, to prevent such alliances. Kraz hissed again. The Drakon Empire will never allow it. Humans are weak, unworthy of such power. Humans showed us compassion, countered Ilara. That is worth more than strength. Sam turned to the Lyrians. Even if you can protect this station somehow, what about other human outposts? Earth itself? If what Kraz says is true, we've just made humanity a target for the entire Drakon Empire. Ilara's expression grew serious. We must contact our people. There are more Lyrians who would come if called. Your distress beacon, Nissa added. We can modify it to reach our mothership. Commander Reyes looked skeptical. You have a mothership? Where? Hidden, replied Ilara. Our people have been scattered since the Drakons began hunting us. But they will come if they know a true bond has been formed. Sam noticed the patterns on the Lyrian's skin had changed again, becoming more complex and brighter. Their transformation was continuing even now. Let them try, said Reyes after a moment of consideration. We have nothing to lose. The next hours passed in a blur of activity. Under guard, the Drakon soldiers were confined to a secure room. Ilara and Nissa worked, with Lichen, the station's communications expert, to modify the distress beacon. Sam watched in amazement as the Lyrians demonstrated knowledge of technology far beyond what he had expected. How do you know all this? He asked as Ilara rewired complex circuits with her six-fingered hands. The bond connects us to your knowledge, she explained. I can access some of your understanding of technology, language, culture. It helps us serve as better protectors. Sam felt a chill. You can read my mind? Ilara looked up, her expression gentle. Not thoughts, just knowledge and memories you would freely share. The bond respects privacy. As they worked, Sam noticed he was feeling strange flashes of emotion that didn't seem to be his own. Determination, hope, and something deeper he couldn't name. I think I'm starting to feel the connection, he told them. Is that normal? Nissa nodded without looking up from her work. The bond grows stronger with time and proximity. Soon you will be able to sense our presence even from a distance. There, said Lichen suddenly. The modifications are complete. The signal should be able to penetrate the interference the Drakon ships are generating. Ilara stepped back from the console. Now we send our call. She placed her hands on the modified transmitter and closed her eyes. The blue patterns on her skin flared brightly, seeming to flow down her arms and into the device. The transmitter hummed to life, broadcasting a signal unlike anything Sam had heard before, a complex series of musical tones and harmonics that seemed to shift and change. What are you sending? Asked Reyes. The Song of Bonding, explained Nissa. It tells our people that we have found worthy allies and need protection. Suddenly, the station's warning systems blared. Li Chen rushed to the sensor display. The OSR Drakon fleet has changed course. They're approaching rapidly. Attack formation. They detected our transmission, Ilara said grimly. They will try to destroy the station before help can arrive. The humans looked at each other in growing fear. Reyes squared her shoulders. We need to prepare for impact. Everyone to emergency stations. As the crew rushed to their positions, Sam felt a sudden wave of calm flow through him, not his own emotion, but one being sent to him through the bond. Don't fear, said Ilara, standing tall beside him. We will protect you. How? Sam asked. There are only 2 of you against an entire fleet. Nissa smiled, her eyes now glowing with inner light. We are not alone. The sensor display suddenly lit up with new alerts. Li Chen's jaw dropped as he stared at the readings. Commander, multiple objects just appeared in orbit. They were cloaked somehow. Now they're between us and the Draken fleet. Sam rushed to the window with the others. In the dark sky above, points of light had appeared, ships of an unusual design, sleek and curved like ocean waves, glowing with the same blue luminescence as Lyrian skin. Our people heard our call, said Alara, pride in her voice. Now the Drakens will learn what it means to threaten a bonded world. The main dome of Outpost Horizon fell silent as everyone watched the scene unfolding in the sky above. Dozens of Lyrian ships now positioned themselves between the planet and the approaching Drakon fleet. The sleek, blue-glowing vessels moved, with incredible coordination, forming an intricate defensive pattern. Your ships are beautiful, Sam said quietly to Alara, who stood beside him at the observation window. They are alive, she replied. Partly organic like us. They respond to our needs and thoughts. Commander Reyes was monitoring the tactical display with Li Chen. The Draken fleet has stopped advancing. They're holding position just outside the orbit of the outer moon. They are considering their options, said Nissa. Even Drakens are not foolish enough to attack a fully mobilized Lyrian defense force. Kraz, who had been brought to the main dome under guard, snarled. This changes nothing. The Empire will send more ships. We will never accept Lyrians bonding with humans. Alara turned to face him. Why do you fear this alliance so much, Commander Kraz? Our people have never attacked yours, we only defend. Your kind would make humans powerful, Kraz spat. Together, you would threaten Drakon dominance of the galaxy. Sam looked at Alara in surprise. Is that true? Could this alliance really shift the balance of power that much? Before she could answer, a new alert sounded. Li Chen checked the communications panel. We're receiving a transmission from the largest Lyrian vessel. Put it through, ordered Reyes. The main screen activated, showing another Lyrian. This one appeared older, with deeper blue skin and more elaborate light patterns flowing across their face. I am Elder Talon of the Lyrian Conclave, the alien said. We have received the bond song of Alara and Nissa. Is it true that humans have formed a sacred covenant with our kind? Alara stepped forward. It is true, Elder. This human, Sam Miller, saved us from starvation without expectation of reward. The emergency bonding has already begun. The Elder's eyes widened. Show me this human. Sam moved to stand beside Alara, feeling suddenly nervous under the Elder's intense gaze. You fed my daughters when they were starving? Asked Talon. Sam blinked in surprise. Daughters? Yes, I found them hiding in my greenhouse. They needed help. A simple act of kindness, mused the Elder. Yet upon such moments, the fate of galaxies can turn. He turned his attention to Commander Reyes. Human leader, do you understand what has begun here? Reyes stepped forward. Not entirely. We know these Lyrians have formed some kind of bond with our crew member, and that this has angered the Drakens. It is far more significant, explained Talon. For generations, the Lyrian people have searched the stars for a species worthy of full alliance. Many have tried to use us as weapons. Others have rejected our gifts out of fear or suspicion. On another screen, they could see the Draken fleet was being reinforced. More ships were arriving, taking up aggressive positions. The Drakens will attack soon, warned Li Chen. Elder Talon continued calmly. The bond my daughters have formed with your Sam Miller is just the beginning. If humanity accepts, this covenant can extend to all your people. We offer protection and partnership in return for sanctuary among your worlds. Commander Reyes looked stunned. This is beyond my authority to decide for all humanity. Of course, acknowledged Talon. But you must choose now whether to accept temporary protection for your outpost. The Drakens will not wait for diplomats to discuss terms. Reyes glanced at Sam, then at Alara and Nissa, whose skin now glowed. so brightly they were almost difficult to look at directly. "We accept your protection," Reyes said firmly. Kraz roared in anger. "You doom yourselves. The Empire will never forget this betrayal." Elder Talon's expression hardened as he looked at the Dracon commander. "Speak to your fleet, Kraz. Tell them what you have witnessed here. Tell them that humans are now under Lyrian protection. Any attack on human settlements will be considered an act of war against the Lyrian conclave." Reyes had Kraz brought to the communications panel. After a moment of defiant silence, he spoke to his fleet in the harsh Draken language. The effect was immediate. Several of the Draken ships began to pull back. "They retreat?" asked Sam in disbelief. "For now," said Alara. "They will return to their empire to report what has happened. The Drakens are aggressive, but not stupid. They know they cannot win a direct conflict with our people." Nisa turned to Sam, taking his hands in hers. "Now you understand why feeding us was so important. You not only saved 2 lives, you changed the destiny of your species." Sam felt overwhelmed. "I just did what anyone would do." "No," said Elder Talon from the screen. "That is precisely why your species proves worthy. Many would have left my daughters to die, or captured them for study, or expected payment for their help. Your simple act of compassion revealed the heart of humanity." Over the next few hours, a formal agreement was drafted between Commander Reyes and Elder Talon. The 4 Dracon soldiers were released and allowed to return to their shuttle, carrying a message for their empire. Humanity was now allied with the Lyrians. As the diplomatic talks continued, Sam stood with Alara and Nisa in the greenhouse where he had first found them. "I still can't believe all this happened because I gave you some food," he said, shaking his head in wonder. Alara smiled. "The smallest acts of kindness can have the greatest consequences." "What happens now?" Sam asked. "Will you stay here?" "For a time," said Nisa. "The bond between us is still strengthening. Eventually, we will serve as ambassadors between our peoples." "And other Lyrians? Will they bond with other humans?" Ilara nodded. "Those who wish to. It must always be voluntary on both sides, but we believe many humans will welcome the connection once they understand it." Sam looked up through the transparent dome at the stars above, where Lyrian ships now patrolled protectively. Just days ago, he had been a simple agricultural scientist. Now he was at the center of an interstellar alliance that would change humanity's future forever. "Earth Command will have a lot of questions when they arrive," he said. "We will answer them," replied Alara confidently, "and we will tell them how one human's compassion saved 2 starving alien girls, and in return, gained humanity the most powerful allies in the galaxy." In the weeks that followed, ships arrived from Earth carrying diplomats, scientists, and military officials. The story of Sam's simple act of kindness spread throughout human space. Other Lyrians came forward seeking humans who might form bonds with them. The Draken Empire, facing the combined potential of human innovation and Lyrian protection, signed a reluctant peace treaty, and it all began because Sam Miller, seeing 2 starving alien girls hiding in his greenhouse, chose to offer them food, without asking for anything in return. As Elder Talon later told the United Earth Council, "In a galaxy where many measure power by weapons and technology, it was humanity's capacity for unconditional compassion that proved to be your greatest strength. It is this quality above all others that makes your species truly remarkable among the stars."